The restaurant buzzed with laughter and the clinking of glasses, but across the table, she barely lifted her eyes from her phone. Each time a message arrived, the faint buzz echoed, the screen lit her face, but she never once smiled at me. She scrolled, typed something quickly, then angled the screen away whenever I tried to peek. It felt like sitting across from a stranger who just happened to wear my wife's face. I tried to break the silence with small talk, asking about her day, her sister's new job, even the show she'd been obsessed with. She only nodded, muttering, "Yeah, Orem," before returning to her phone. The steak grew cold, and so did I. When the waiter came to clear the plates, she didn't even glance up. That was it. I decided to stop trying. I stood, dropped a few bills on the table, and said softly, "You're not even here." She blinked, as if startled I'd spoken. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done talking to a ghost," I replied. Then I turned and walked out before she could respond. The night air hit me like a slap, cold, wet, heavy with rain and exhaust. Hands shoved in my pockets, I strode toward the car, pulse hammering in my throat. Part of me expected her to call after me, to shout my name, to pretend to care, but the restaurant door stayed shut. I sank into the driver's seat, staring through the windshield. My reflection looked back, tired, hollow, maybe a little pathetic. I considered calling her sister, Hannah, who had always been the one to notice when things were wrong, the one who tried to smooth over fights. But before I could dial, my phone buzzed. Text from Hannah, "Don't leave yet." I froze, staring at the screen. Simple words, but not random. Not tonight. Not after the way my wife had ignored me. I typed back, "Why?" The dots appeared, then vanished. Silence. Through the restaurant's glass window, I could see her still at the table, still on her phone, a faint smirk curling her lips. My stomach twisted. Another buzz. "Please, just wait a few minutes. I'll explain." Something about the message knotted my gut. Why now? What could she possibly explain? Rain began to fall, light at first, then harder. I watched the water streak down the windshield, my thoughts running wild. Maybe Hannah wanted to calm me, to say my wife was just in a bad mood. Or maybe it was worse. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. My phone buzzed again. She's leaving. Follow her. My chest tightened. I stared at the words until they blurred. I wasn't the kind of man who spied, who tracked cars, but something inside me snapped. I started the engine and waited. A few minutes later, she emerged. My wife. She wrapped her coat tight, glanced around, and hurried to her car without once looking at me. Headlights cut through the rain as she pulled out. I followed, 2 cars behind, heart hammering. She turned left, then right, weaving through side streets until we reached a quiet neighborhood. Rows of small houses, most dark. She slowed, stopped in front of one, and killed the engine. I parked a block away, palm slick on the wheel. She lingered, checking her phone again. Then a porch light flicked on, and a man appeared. He didn't hesitate. Walked down the steps, opened her door, leaned in close. Too close. Something inside me shattered. She laughed. The soft, familiar laugh I hadn't heard in weeks, the one that used to belong to me. I wanted to run across the street, to open that door, to demand answers, but I couldn't move. I just watched her disappear inside with him. My phone buzzed again. "I'm sorry," Hannah wrote. "I didn't know how else to tell you. She's been seeing him for months." My throat burned. I stared at the screen, struggling to breathe, the air thick and bitter. Another message. "I found out last week." She promised she'd end it. But tonight she told me she was done pretending. Pretending. The word echoed in my head until it lost meaning. I sat for what felt like hours. The rain softened, turning to drizzle. Through the cracked window, I could smell wet earth and cheap cologne. His, probably. My chest ached with something heavier than anger. Grief, but not the kind you can cry away. Finally, I started the car and drove off. Not home, just away. Hannah called as I reached the edge of town. I didn't want to answer, but I did. "Are you okay?" she asked, voice trembling. "Why'd you tell me?" I murmured. You could have stayed out of it. Because she wasn't going to, she said. You deserve to know. A long silence. Then her voice quiet, breaking me again. I didn't just tell you for your sake. I think I'm part of the reason she did it. I gripped the wheel. What do you mean? She exhaled shakily. We talked about you, about how distant you've been lately. I didn't realize she'd take it as an excuse. But when she told me about him, she said I'd made her feel justified. I closed my eyes, letting the words sink in. Guilt, betrayal, confusion. All tangled together until I couldn't tell one from the other. I don't know what to say. I whispered. Then don't, she said. Just don't go home tonight. The line went dead. I pulled over, cut the engine, and sat in the dark. The street was quiet except for the rain tapping the roof. I thought about everything. Her laughter, her lies, Hannah's trembling voice. Another message lit up my screen, this time from my wife. Where are you? I stared at it. Then another. Please, we need to talk. The irony almost made me laugh. Weeks of silence, of routine conversations about bills and groceries. And now she suddenly needed to talk. I typed a reply, paused, erased it, then sent one final message. Ask your sister. I set the phone face down, letting the screen fade to black. Outside, the rain stopped. The world was unnervingly still. And for the first time in months, I felt the weight of silence settle. Not from being ignored, but from finally choosing to walk.